there. I'm Pat Cobe, Senior Menu Editor of Restaurant Business, and this is Menu Talk, and I'm here with.
Bret Thorn, Senior Food and Beverage Editor of Nation's Restaurant News and Restaurant Hospitality. Welcome, everybody, and hi, Pat. How you
Hi
doing?
there. Yeah, it's a busy week for menus.
It sure is. I mean, yeah, a lot of new rollouts. Why don't you tell us about them, Pat?
Yeah, well, in addition to all the limited time offers that come out in the
Hmm.
spring, and we talked about some for Lent last week, it seems like people are pushing out their spring flavors and their spring items and beverages a lot sooner than they have in the past. We think it might be because the winter was kind of a crappy winter and everybody's tired of it.
Yeah, I noticed a whole bunch of new peach items, and like peach season is a long way off. There are new spicy peach wing sauces at
Mm.
Native Grill and Wings in Buffalo's Cafe, and a sweet peach barbecue sauce at Sonny's Barbecue. And also just a bunch of peach being added to drinks, like sometimes in random places, like McAllister's Deli has a leprechaun lemonade that's basically only available for the next week or so. But it's lemonade with blue raspberry syrup and peach puree that I guess is kind of yellowish because then together it's green. But, I think that is the most summery kind of fruit flavor, apart from the tropical flavors, which taste summer even though they're not necessarily in season in the summer. And I think it's probably just, as you said, it's been a long winter and
Yeah,
people want to taste a little bit of sunshine. And
yeah.
this is something I noticed many years ago when I was in Japan in February, and they already had cocktails with like brined cherry blossoms in them,
Mhm.
even though it was 6 weeks before cherry blossom season. But that's a way that the Japanese anticipate upcoming ingredient seasons. And it looks like we're kind of doing the same thing. And honestly, maybe the pumpkin spice latte does that too, because as we know, they're now on menus in early August,
Yeah,
not
definitely. Yeah.
fall. So
I think people don't want to be in the present moment. They want to look ahead to something else. And
gosh,
menus
I
can do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. And obviously, restaurants are an escape. And so, to get away from the cold winter and have some peach tea sounds pretty
Pretty
good.
good. Yeah, I know. And Chick-fil-A introduced a lot of dragon fruit beverages, which I thought was interesting. I mean, it isn't that uncommon a flavor now, but it seems like they really are leaning into dragon fruit with their lemonades and teas and also, I think, a pineapple dragon fruit drink. So,
It's so weird because dragon fruit doesn't taste like much. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful
yeah.
fruit, and whether it's the flesh itself or the fruit that looks like it's from another planet. I mean, it's a cool fruit, and it's good for you because all fruit's good for you. But it doesn't really taste like much. So it's interesting that it's become a flavor.
Yeah, well, I think color is a big selling point now with beverages.
Very good
Everybody
point.
wants, bright colors. And maybe that's why peach is showing up too.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, but peach actually has a distinctive, robust, delightful, non-controversial flavor. So,
No, definitely.
so that's
Well, I think this week also brought a number of menu makeovers or updates from some of the chains. And I had interviewed the people at Walk-Ons Sports Bistreaux, and they really did a major overhaul of their menu because they figured out that a lot of women are coming in there too, even though it's a sports bar. And they didn't really have very many female friendly menu items. So they added some more seafood dishes. They added some wines that they didn't have before because women drink more wine than men, I guess, especially men watching sports on TV. They also added some, cocktails that were like less sugary and lower in alcohol and had fresher flavors. So they really did a major overhaul, but they did stick to their Louisiana roots. I mean, they still have all those Cajun flavors in a lot of their dishes.
although
So,
they got rid of the Louisiana specialty section of their menu, right? They changed it to
right.
seafood specialties.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they definitely enlarged the seafood section. And I think that was a nod to the female clientele.
When also those are premium items, and
Hmm.
with traffic down, you want people to spend as much money as they want to when they get into the restaurant. And I imagine the updating of the cocktails does that too, and they're providing more wine.
Definitely. Yeah.
And they're targeting, apart from sports enthusiasts, they're targeting what they called team moms, right? Not teen moms, not teenage moms, but I guess this is a new, more generic term for soccer moms.
Yeah, well, I guess they're doing sports other than soccer, like
Sure.
t-ball and
Pickleball.
basketball. So I guess they want to make it more general. But I mean, I remember when my kids were young and played sports. I mean, you never really have enough time to make dinner or to, celebrate with the team afterwards. So I think it's a really good opportunity to, they supposedly they're bringing in, some of the kids from the teams and they're all eating lunch or having dinner or that.
Or in the case of the women themselves, drinking wine.
Correct.
So that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, there were a couple of other chains that had menu makeovers this week. Noodles and Company, theirs has been in the works for about 2 years now, and they released their new menu this week, which has, I think, 9 new items on it. And
And some reworked ones also.
mhm,
Yeah, they did a huge amount of research into what their customers wanted, and I know part of it was they wanted the mac and cheese to be cheesier and saucier. So
right,
they did that. They renamed their sort of core mac and cheese from Wisconsin mac and cheese to a creamy cheddar, I believe is what they're calling it now. And
yeah,
yeah, more sauce, bolder flavors, and it looks great,
more protein too.
as
Everyone
we all
wants
know.
protein these days.
Hmm.
And same with Payway. I just spoke to one of their people who worked on the menu, and they rolled out a new lighter section. Well, they're really calling it like lifestyle section. So people who are interested in eating healthier or lighter or eating more protein. I mean, a couple of the new bowls they have, they call out the grams of protein, and some of them have like, over 30 grams of protein per serving. So that's a good amount, and it seems like everyone wants more protein.
Which is nuts because as Americans, we pretty much get all the protein we want, and more. Most Americans get as much protein as they need for their diets, but there certainly is a demand to consume more of it. And
Yeah,
I mean that's a huge macro trend, as you know, in the restaurant industry and in eating in general. I'm sure in grocery stores they're saying the same thing: more protein snacks, more heavy protein laden foods in general. That's something Noodles and Company rolled out a couple of years ago with their lean guini. That was a lower
hmm,
carb, higher protein noodle.
yeah, but now people are into like the animal protein. So I think, like chicken, shrimp. That's what Payway introduced, like a chicken and shrimp bowl that has both in it. And
And Panda Express just rolled out their, I think it's called Firecracker Shrimp and Steak Bowl.
right, yeah, so
So
that's two proteins in one. Yeah,
yeah, surf and turf, as
I
it
don't
were.
think we're going to see that go away anytime soon. I think people are really into protein now.
For sure. And there's the younger generation is very much into chicken, a lot of chicken.
Hmm.
That's why we see the proliferation of so many chicken chains and chicken being added to more menus. But then also, like beef, especially as a limited time offer, seems to do really well. That's another thing
Hmm.
that Noodles and Company has discussed is that their current LTO is steak stroganoff, which they first
Right.
introduced last year, and it was just a huge runaway success. So remember, audience, your guests like beef.
Yes, they do. But I guess chicken is the more economical choice when you're rolling it out across all your locations.
Sure, and it has a health halo.
Hmm.
But for premium, if your guests want to splurge, it seems like they continue to move toward the beef or the shrimp.
Well, all these chains that are doing over their menus, they're still leaving room for limited time offers. So beef can always be a limited time offer like Noodles is doing.
Yeah,
And
makes sense, especially since beef prices tend to fluctuate more. So
right.
Add beef when the beef is not expensive or when you lock down a good price, and then take it off
Yeah,
afterward.
I've noticed a lot of breakfast chains are adding the egg surcharge now. It seems like eggs are still pricey. I mean, in my supermarket, they were $10 a dozen. I mean, that's still not a huge amount because even if you eat two eggs per serving, I mean, it costs like less than $2. So,
Yeah, but outside of our offices in Midtown, there's a little cart that is still selling two hard-boiled eggs for $1.50, and I kind of
hmm.
want to check in with him and see if he's okay, or if he knows someone I can talk to about scoring some eggs for myself.
Yeah, well, maybe he has a direct to the farm source.
Maybe he does, or maybe he forgot to change the sign.
Yeah. Well, I also did this little story on what Yelp searchers are looking for on
Oh,
Yelp.
what are they looking for?
And they're looking for like chicken coops and egg farms because they want to set up their own backyard source for eggs or
I
go
mean,
directly to the farm and buy eggs. So,
I super respect that, ambition, but I think they'll find that it actually costs more than $1 an egg
I,
to raise chickens, build a chicken coop, buy chicken feed, which isn't as cheap as we imply that chicken feed is.
right.
And prices are going to go up on chicken feed because we import a huge amount of it from China. So even though eggs are produced domestically, I think almost exclusively, some of the inputs are not, including
Yeah.
construction materials and chicken feed. So good luck raising your chickens, but I don't think you're going to save money.
Well, I'm not going to do that anytime soon because I live in an apartment anyway.
Yeah, me too. I don't think my neighbors, even though I'm in a slightly more spread out area of New York City than you are, still, even here down south in the southernmost part of Brooklyn, there are not a lot of chicken coops.
Well, speaking of another protein source, I did an interview with Matt King from Legal Seafoods, and he was telling me about how they revamped their menu recently, which is kind of interesting. So they're giving guests a lot more choice about how they want their fish cooked, how they want it flavored. So guests can now mix and match. Like they can choose salmon or shrimp or cod and choose the rub or sauce they want with it, and choose whether they want it grilled or fried or all different preparations. And they found out that even though they have a number of chef curated dishes that are still very popular, like their lobster roll and their fish and chips, they really wanted to give guests more choice in customizing their own dinner. And it seems to be working out really well.
Oh, well, that's good to know because I would rather the chef design the item for me, but I know other customers want to feel more empowered to
Yeah.
craft
Well,
their.
it's kind of fun to choose your own sauce because, I mean, when a lot of operators are finding that, guests come in and they say, I want this dish, but please change this and change that and substitute this. So this is a way around that. You just do it from the beginning and it causes less turmoil in the kitchen.
That makes sense. Well, I'm
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to hearing what Matt King has to say. He's a good guy.
Yeah. So give a listen. Hi there. I'm here with Matt King of Legal Seafoods, and we're going to talk about their new menu and what's happening on the menu over at Legal Seafoods. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So tell me your exact title, Matt.
I am the president and COO of Legal Seafoods.
Great. Well, I'm certainly with an important person then.
I don't know. My wife would argue with you about that one.
So, Legal Seafoods has done a lot of interesting things lately. And so, how are they differentiating in the casual dining space?
So I would say, what we've really tried to do as of late is listen to our guest. And when I say that, I mean listen to them by kind of watching how people are tending to order. And as much as, we would put together a dish that we felt everything went perfectly well together, everybody wanted to modify it. They wanted this on the side. Can I sub the green beans for broccoli? Can I change this to this? So we just said, instead of fighting it, let's lean into it. Let's lean into the idea of you being able to, as the guest, some miraculous idea, but make a choice on what it is you would like to eat.
Yeah, and so do you still have some curated dishes, or
Yeah,
is it
we
all?
still have some of our classics. We still have our baked haddock that is a classic dish that's always going to be there. We've got our lobster mac and cheese. We have things that are specific curated dishes, but we've tried to focus, as Legal Seafoods always has, focus on the sourcing of the best possible ingredients that we can, right? So the freshest, best fish that we can possibly buy. And then we're coming up with, different flavor styles, whether those are rubs or sauces or combinations of the two that you can choose from on any one of the fish or meat or chicken or whatever else you want to put it onto. And then you choose your two sides. So, if you want salmon, there's 360 different ways you can enjoy salmon.
That's really cool because that would really appeal to me if I went in and, I could pick the type of flavoring I wanted on my protein. So that's kind of what guests do. They customize the meal by choosing a protein and a flavor and then two sides. So what are some of the sides that you offer?
So, I mean, we have everything from some traditional legal seafoods items that have been on the menu of like steamed jasmine rice and broccoli to Szechuan green beans that are on the menu. We've got a roasted butternut squash with dried cranberries and pumpkin seeds. So you can get as adventurous as you want or as traditional as you want.
Hmm. And how about limited time offers? Are you still using those to innovate the menu?
Yeah, I think, limited time offers have been really helpful for us in getting to the point that we understand our guest better. Right? So we can decide we're going to try something, we do it for a month, it works or it doesn't work. Does it motivate people to come back more frequently? Does it not? Without having to commit to, okay, I'm reprinting all the menus. This is the direction we're going. So I think, from a testing point of view, they've been invaluable.
Hmm.
We also find, there's some things that we do limited time offers, whether it's like dollar oyster days that we've run during Oyster Festival. They certainly drive people to the restaurants. People trust us for a place to get raw oysters, and when they're a dollar, they come out of the woodwork for them.
Yeah, definitely. So, have any of the limited time offers made it onto the menu, or any of maybe the species of seafood that you try as an LTO?
Definitely. We did Chilean sea bass as an LTO that made it on the menu. We identified a farmed striped bass out of the West Coast because striped bass is really popular in Massachusetts, but it's a tight season of when we can get it. So
Hmm.
we found a farmed option that we could get out of the West Coast and offer it in the winter. And we did that as a test to see, were people going to like it? Were they going to not like it? And it was really popular. So we decided to add that to the menu.
So, do you put the source of where, all the seafood sourcing on the menu as well?
So everything that is a constant source is listed on the menu. And then
Hmm.
we've got other things, it's an amazing thing, right? Everybody thinks that there's this magical ocean off of Boston, and every species of fish comes from this magical ocean. And that's just not true at all times of the year.
Right.
That doesn't mean that people don't want tuna all year round, and they don't want swordfish all year round, and they don't love to eat a lot of salmon. All things that are not always available off the coast of Boston. So what we have is on our website, you can actually get the up-to-date where every species is coming from this week. So as we're following, some of these things are predatory fish like swordfish and tuna, so they migrate around the globe based off of where the best food source is for them. So we're
Right.
always chasing a combination of the best quality and the most responsibly sourced around the world.
What is the most popular seafood on your menu?
As far as number one entree we sell more salmon than anything else. We
Mm,
sell a ton of salmon. After that, I would go and say it's lobster rolls.
mm,
Are our number two item.
interesting. Just out of curiosity, what is your lobster roll priced at now? Because I've been like having sticker shock in New York and Long Island to see what lobster rolls cost.
Yeah, so we've got a half pound lobster roll. So it's a monster lobster roll, and it's $44 at the
Yeah,
moment.
well, that's about the going price.
Yeah,
But
I'm hoping, the new lobster season starts in May, and I'm hoping that we're going to start to see lobster prices come down.
mhm,
But who knows?
right. But it doesn't keep people from ordering them because
No.
they're real fans. Like,
It really, if you came out with the intent of having a lobster roll, then that's what you're ordering. There's
right,
nothing I'm going to talk you into or show you that's going to be a bait and switch, and you're going to say, oh, you know what? Maybe I don't want a lobster roll. You have
right.
that in your head, you're going to order it.
Do you do both styles, like the butter and the
But
lobster
yeah,
salad
yeah,
style?
we've got the traditional cold with mayo, and we've got the hot buttered,
Hmm.
more Rhode Island style.
Right. And so back to the flavors for the different proteins. What are some of the sauces and rubs that you offer? I mean, can you just tell me a couple?
Sure. So we offer a chimichurri that you could choose from. We've got a Cajun spiced with like a spicy hot butter that we
Hmm.
drizzle over the top of it. If you are a traditionalist, you can get it simply grilled with a little lemon olive oil. We offer things like a Chinese five spice with a kung pao sauce. So there's a lot of different choices, and as we kind of go seasonally and we are able to follow food trends, something that's become really popular is like a lot of North African spices. So
Hmm.
as we go into the summer, we might lean into something that's got a little bit of North African spice with, maybe like a red chermoula or something like that with it that you can choose from. So again, it's kind of creating the ability for the person who's got the more adventurous palate to take great seafood, great seafood that they know they can trust, make
Hmm.
it as creative and fun as they want. Or for the traditional legal seafoods guest that's been coming to us forever, they can still get that lemon caper butter and a piece
Hmm.
of sole.
Can you still get like fish and chips if that's what you want?
But yeah, fish and chips is still on the menu. We still have a fairly extensive fried section with our traditional kind of New England fried seafood.
Right. So have you streamlined the menu at all since the pandemic?
I would say, I would say not as much as some people have urged me to. But yes, there's been items that we just don't sell enough of for them to warrant a place on the menu. And it's
Right.
always a hard decision, right? And it's a hard decision to make those based off of data versus an emotional decision.
Mm,
The amount of times that, you can have somebody say, oh no, you can't possibly take that on the menu. Everyone loves it. And then you look up the data and you say, you sold 4 of them last month. I'm
right.
sure all 4 of them loved it, but is that enough for us to carry those items and have it on the menu?
Right.
So, we've definitely tried to focus our energy on, let's do better at the items that people order, right? Let's make sure they're the best they can be. And let's make sure, we're dealing with fresh fish, right? We have to turn the product over as fast as possible. Good
Right.
fish is fresh fish.
And I have done stories on your kids menu in the past and how innovative it is. Is that something that you're still innovating on? I know that you really work outside the box, and offer kids things that are really more grown up and more, but still kid friendly.
Yeah, exactly, right. We're hoping through our kids menu that we're introducing an entire new generation of people into liking seafood, right? Into getting grilled salmon, right? Into trying cod, into these things that are super healthy for them. And we've recently partnered and kind of continued our ongoing partnership with Boston Children's Hospital. So we're actually donating a portion of the sale from every kids meal to Dr. Zahn's lab, from all of our Boston area locations. So everywhere in Massachusetts, when you order a kids meal, you're supporting Boston Children's Hospital at the same time.
Cool. And how is Legal Seafoods differentiating itself at the bar? I know that you partnered with a local brewery recently. And how about, what are you doing with beers and cocktails and wine?
Yeah, I think, the beverage space is an area that we're always trying to grow. We're trying to grow our sales in, become known as people's kind of local bar to go to. We have two beers that are proprietary to us at the moment. We've got Legally Hazy, which is a hazy style New England IPA that's made by Night Shift Brewery. We rolled that out 2.5 years ago, and it is by far our number one selling beer. Recently, we partnered with Ray Bork and Jack's Abbey Brewing to come up with Bork's Brew,
Hmm.
and that's a much lighter style ale that we serve now, and that also helps support Ray Bork's Bork Foundation. So both us and Jack's Abbey are donating a portion of our proceeds from that to help support his foundation. And then, we're always like, we work with Buffalo Trace, and we have proprietary barrels that we buy from Buffalo Trace. We're in the midst of working with a few different wineries on a proprietary legal seafood Sauvignon Blanc, potentially a legal seafoods red blend or Pinot Noir, kind of tasting through a number of things. What we've found is what helps us in selling beverages is when we get our team behind it, and our team gets behind something that is uniquely ours.
Yeah. And to most customers, I mean, this might be hard to quantify, but are most customers beer drinkers, wine drinkers, cocktail drinkers, or a mix of
It,
all?
it it's a mix. I would say we sell a good amount of beer. I would say the largest growing segment we have is our non-alcoholic consumption. So non-alcoholic beers, a non-alcoholic rosé that we have on the menu, some non-alcoholic cocktails that we make. So I would say that that's probably the segment that's growing the fastest.
Interesting. Wow, that's cool. So, what is ahead for the menu in spring and summer? It's really not quite spring yet, but it's coming soon.
It's coming soon. I can tell you. So we're working on currently a lot of different flavor styles that we could introduce for the summer. Certain seafood, certain fish will maybe come off of the menu because of seasonality. Other things hopefully will come back on the menu because they're suddenly available in the quality and the quantity that we need. Like we're
Mhm.
hoping right now we don't have a nice grilled scallop on the menu, and we don't have it on the menu because we just can't consistently source the right size and the right quality. So we took it off the menu rather than fighting with the fact that it just wasn't what we were proud of. So
Right.
if there's something I'm hoping is back in the summer, it's definitely scallops. I have another item that I'm working on that's a little bit ultra top secret. I may have to tell you about it at another time because
Okay.
I don't want to leak it in case it doesn't make it for the summer.
Right. Yeah. And sustainability is a big part of your initiatives too. Is that correct?
100%. I mean, as much as possible, we support our local fishermen and the local industry here. You can't really see because it's very gray and murky behind me, but I am right outside here is the Boston Fish Pier, and we have several friends that are captains and several people that run a lot of the boats that are coming in there, and we're getting our haddock and our pollock and we're getting our sole all off of these boats directly every day. So it's always about finding the best quality and most responsible all the time.
And are you trying any new formats? I know that, like in the past, you had the legal seafood test kitchen or a kitchen, and then you had smaller footprint places like at airports and that kind of thing. So, what are some of the formats that you have now, and how many locations do you have?
So we have 25 locations in total. As far as different formats, what I'm really trying to go through in the next couple of years is some renovations of our existing.
Hmm.
So bringing them to be more similar. And I think there became a disconnect over time between the Sea Bar and Legal Seafoods, that there really wasn't anything remarkably different about them other than the fact that they looked different. They had essentially the same menus. They had started off as two very different concepts and then sort of morphed into being a mix of both concepts in both locations, which is really just based off of following guest feedback and what people are looking for. Going forward, it's the traditional legal seafoods, full service restaurant that we're looking for. Certainly, airports is an opportunity for continued growth for us. We love our airport business. We currently have 6 at Logan Airport and 1 at Reagan. So it's a great piece of business for us. They naturally are a smaller footprint with a more abridged menu because they're small spaces.
Right. Yeah, I love the clam chowder when I go to Boston. I always get that from my flight.
You can't go wrong. We always joke that clam chowder, like New England clam chowder, is like our currency. We can trade in clam chowder.
Thanks for tuning into this week's episode of Menu Talk. Like and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Pat Cobe.
And I'm Bret Thorn.
See you next week.